Hey, good morning. Welcome to MagnaWave Office Hours. Welcome to my office where I spend a lot of my time throughout the day. We're here every Tuesday to answer whatever questions you may have about Magnawaving, our process, how the MagnaWave system works, how our waves are absorbed and what they do. We want to answer any of those questions you may have about the technology. We also want to answer any questions you may have about our devices, where we see the future going, where you are in your business processes. Just here for some open conversation and questions. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. Also, if you will, if you're watching this morning or you're joining us, share this with your friends. Perhaps they've got some questions they want to ask. Share it with your list, if you will. I mean, your business page, so perhaps your clients can better understand and get some of their questions answered as well. Also, I just like to reach out and ask, what can I do for you? What can MagnaWave do for you if you're a practitioner, if you're working to build a business, if you want to learn more about that type of thing? I've been knocking around in this business since 2002, about 45 years of business experience owning and managing several different types of businesses. So, if you got a question about that, give me a shout and I'll tell you what we're doing, what we're working on, where we think this can be beneficial for you. So again, I'm here to do that. How can I help you in your business? How can I help you be a better practitioner? How can we at MagnaWave do that? And, a lot of times, I had an interesting conversation yesterday, and I'll get into some of these things, but I was talking to a physical therapist about implementing MagnaWave into their practice and how it works and so on and so forth, and how I can better help them be a better physical therapist or sports trainer type of situation. And the person kind of looked at me and said, I'm not a modality person. And I kind of sat there and thought, wait a minute, do you do taping? Do you use ice? Do you do massage? Do you rub? All these type of things. What the person was actually saying is, I'm not a machine modality person, but they are a modality person. And where would we be if we didn't have a lot of advancements with the different modalities that we embrace throughout our career and what we're doing? And so that I had to go through that, where you're using modalities. You're just not using a machine modality. And so you need to open your mind and see how this modality can enhance the taping process, how icing in this modality can be very complementary to each other. A lot of people miss that. Complementary medicine, complementary therapies, how they can work together. Do we have the game-changing device out there? We like to think so, and we like to work in that direction, but the reality of it is there are many devices that are very complementary to each other and can help you in many different ways. So that's just something that I crossed my mind yesterday in a conversation in this particular group, and that I was talking to. It was eye-opening, and the conversation all of a sudden, we were talking about athletes, professional athletes, and what it appears to be. It's funny how people look at things and say, well, this particular piece it doesn't look as professional as that particular piece, but does it work the same? And you go through those whole conversations about where people get a stigma about how something looks or how they think it should look, and how that applies to how they're going to use it on someone. So here we have a question. So how does MagnaWave complement taping? Great question. Why are you taping? You're taping to stabilize something. You're taping to keep the area, to get the flow you want, to stabilize it so it doesn't twist or it doesn't go, but you still want that area to have good blood flow. You still want that area to, if it's got a problem that there is soreness, you still need to get rid of the soreness that's there, to get rid of the inflammation that's down in there. Or if you want to keep it more supple, even though it's taped and you're going to the field, you still want to have as good a range of motion as you can. So MagnaWave can help the range of motion of a taped ankle or a taped elbow or whatever you're doing. So it's very complementary from that perspective in how it's applied. You still need all of those things: range of motion, pain relief, everything associated with that. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't need to tape, but it's very complementary to be able to aid that type of situation. I've been places where someone comes in at a volleyball tournament, for example. Athlete comes in, they've twisted their ankle or they've done something in the match before, and they want to be taped to give them some stability so they can go back out and play. Well, to MagnaWave right after the taping or just before the taping, as I said, will help oxygenation, help inflammation, help the pain relief to go along with that. So yes, it is certainly complementary to taping. We've had people, I had an athlete come in, same kind of deal, taped and iced, could hardly walk, could hardly put any pressure on it. So we MagnaWaved. I went to the trainer and I said, why don't we MagnaWave this right now at the same time that you're using this ice and this taping and see if we can get this person feeling better immediately. It wasn't broken. It wasn't anything that was going to keep them from playing, but they were under a lot of stress. So we MagnaWaved twice in a matter, we went through 3 or 4 time sessions as the person was sitting there, and when they sat down in the chair, they could hardly put pressure on their foot, and they were going to have to walk it off. When they stood up to walk away, they were walking almost normally, and then began to their exercise stretch process to get back into the next match of this tournament. So to use these modalities in conjunction, whether you call it complementary or not, is very beneficial in many ways. People just don't think, is there something else I can do along with this to be complementary? Great question. And additional questions or thoughts, please throw them out there, and I'd be happy to address them. But so the speed of healing in this conversation, the reason I got into this conversation with this group is they're a professional team, and they have so many players on the roster, and they've got 4 of their leading players that are have injuries. One of them's got a stress fracture, another one's got a stressed back, and another, and so I'm trying to say, let's get these people back on the pitch quicker. Let's get them. Let's what someone thinks is going to be a 4 or 5 week recovery period. Let's treat them. Let's get good oxygenation, good flow to the area, and maybe we can turn that 5 weeks into 3 or 4, just a week. How much difference? Speed is the deal. Speed's the deal on the field. Speed is the deal in recovery. Do we want to have a false recovery? No. But if we can help that recovery along at a better pace, that's what it's all about. And we see that regularly. We see bone situations come to a good position a little quicker than if you just let things go through the 6 to 8 week process. And so that's what it's all about, is to got that hamstring issue. Let's treat it. Let's get on it. It may take more than 10 minutes. It may take 30 minutes a day for a week to get you feeling better or maintain that area. And then there's that whole thing. If you treat the hamstrings before you go out and play football or before you go do things, it's going to help the whole area be more resilient to what you're doing. And so it may prohibit a strain or slow down the availability of its straining, keeping it at bay. So all those kind of things need to come to play. But just as we've talked about, to open up our mind to think how this can be complementary, how you can use it in your practice, or how you can best approach your practice with a different modality, or how can it, as a great question, how does it work with taping? And you just need to think that through a bit and see that the complementary situation is there. So again, any questions? How can I help you? Would love to answer that question, or at least approach that question. What can we do differently, or what can we do better to better reach out to you, our practitioners? So let me tell you something that happened. We had the MagnaCon last week, and time flies. But we had a great time, and it was just actually it's almost 2 weeks ago now. But we learned a lot. We learned something all the time, and we're going to be sharing a lot of this information with you. The most astounding thing is we were talking about regrowing bone and things getting healthy from that perspective, and one of our practitioners came up and made a presentation, a testimonial presentation, basically saying what successes they had, and everybody was blown away. Veterinarians, docs, everybody was blown away with the documentation, the x-rays to show how things were going, and we'll share that with you as we go along. Question I was proposed to me yesterday is, where do I find testimonials, and where do I find information about how people have used MagnaWaving for their practice or for their personal use or whatever? Well, the way to do that, let me pull it up here, is if you go to the website, and you can go there and see on the website the About tab, down there is testimonials, and so if you click the testimonial tab, it will take you to MagnaWave testimonials, and it's loading a little slow here, but so you can submit a testimonial to the page. And why is it operating so slow? Here's all the testimonials off on the right, different things. Here we go. There it comes. Took it a second to load up this morning, but as you can see, there's animals, people, how they've used it, what they've done, total, how it helps with anhydrosis, just all kinds of things that are in. I mean, this page goes on and on and on if you want information about what to do, how to. Let me get over here now. Let me come back to this page, and well, now I'm stuck here. Hold on. Where did we go? Here we go. I'm back. So, doing all this, trying to control it as we go, sometimes gets a little confusing for me as I have all this information on my screen. But if you want testimonials, go to the page, look at the About page, and it'll show you many, many testimonials, human, small animal, and large animal, that you can use. Learn the stories, tell the stories to your customers, and that will help you have more credibility and better understanding. Your confidence, your action is the key to how you project and use this modality effectively for you. Let's see, we have a question. Let me pull it up here. Here we go. Will there be a complete story on the injured horse and the eagle we could share on our MagnaWave pages? Yes, there will. We put these posts together. We want to have this information that you can share on your pages. One of the neat things that we're doing, just to fill this out when people talk about business development, is if you have a website, if you come through our system and you build your website within our system and we post to the blog, and so when we post a blog and we post it to the people that have websites affiliated with us, and their websites don't have to all be about MagnaWave. They can be about your other products. They're your websites. But what I'm trying to say is that when we post a blog, it'll post to your website as though it's your post. So it goes there under your name, and so when your customers and your practitioners look at it, it's your blog, it's information that you're sharing, that wherever, you may have gotten it from someone else is what the thought would be, but it posts on your behalf to your website. It doesn't post that MagnaWave or Pat said this and here it is. It comes up as though it's your content, and it's presented as your content on your website. So yes, there will be posts that will be available for you to share on your pages. We'll prepare all types of videos, MagnaWave moments, sharing this information with you so you can then put it and share it on your website. Great question, Marion. Thank you. Any other questions or thoughts, folks? Anything you'd like to talk about? Be happy to do that this morning. And as I was going to tell you a story. So about the MagnaCon, we put on our MagnaWave app where you can track your customers, you can keep records of your treatments, you can send those records to your customers so they can see what you're showing, you can send it to the veterinarian, whatever it may be. But we also have a section of that app called guidelines. And we put on there the guidelines for particular indications. If you're dealing with an ankle or you're dealing with a tendon, you can go there and click tendon, and it'll give you the basic protocol for that particular situation. Now, when you read those protocols and when you talk about and we discuss this at MagnaCon, it's about the energy. Basically, we're supplying the MagnaWave signals supply energy to the body so the body can be better set up to heal itself. And that's what it's all about. But when you look at the basic protocols, they're all pretty much they all basically start at the same place. And so I was asked the question, and what happened was, is we put all these different protocols. There are variances. When you're treating EPM, there are some different things that you do, or at least different places you start. And when you're treating colic, you go about it a little differently. But when we put all these guidelines into the app, something happened inside of the app, and when you click the indication that you're looking for, it basically gives you the general well-being protocol for using MagnaWave and Magnawaving. And so someone asked the question, well, I looked at the various indications and they were all the same. And we thought, well, no, we go to the back end and they're, the energy, excuse me, the energy delivery is the same, and we could read that they were different, but for some reason, between what we put in and what we're reading in the back end of the app and what was showing up on the app were totally different. So they're fixing that. But it begged to ask the question, why are a lot of the protocols so similar? Well, the basic reason for that is that, as I was saying, we're basically delivering energy to the body to allow the body to be in a position to better heal itself. And a lot of times, and as Dr. Nye pointed out at MagnaCon, it's about the energy. That's really what it is. You're putting this in there, you're letting the blood flow more readily, you're letting the oxygenation be more beneficial to the body. That's where the miracle is in the basis of what we're doing. Now, how long you treat that tendon, or how long you treat that knee, or how often you treat that knee varies from animal to animal. And as we always say, we treat as long as function continues to improve, and then we treat as often as necessary to maintain the healthy, well situation that you want, or that you work towards. And that's the basic protocol, and you can basically apply that to any situation you're dealing with. If we came out and said, well, okay, you're going to treat that knee, so you treat it for 3 minutes on this setting 5 times, and you have solved that problem. It's not the case. One knee is injured differently, or one knee needs different stimulation than the next knee, or this person's low back issue is different than my low back issue. And so we can't really say that here's the protocol. Put it on this many minutes, this many times, and you're finished. That's not, number one, we can't do that. Those of us who are not doctors can't do that. A doctor can turn around, and doctors have shared protocols with us and how they have approached these situations. As a rule, they do this, and this is what they receive. But quite often, they have to go off course a little bit and say, okay, we're doing this, instead of 5 minutes, we're doing it for 15 minutes, and we're doing it, we're moving the coil this way and that way to attain the results that we are looking for. So that, I thought that was interesting. It brought it to our attention that where the error was in the app, but really it begged us to explain the difference, because people do look for, I want a protocol for this migraine, or I want a protocol for this type of thing. And again, doctors, we can work with doctors and get what they would think would be the best way to approach it, but everybody receives this energy differently, and everybody applies it to their body applies it to their situation, potentially in a different manner. And so using the mat on this person is more effective than using the coil for whatever reason. And so you get all of those types of things. So yes, the basic protocol is very similar. As Aaron, who's joined us this morning, our director of training, who developed a lot of these things and helped us in the education process, says, what's the protocol? Put it on and treat it. Let's make it work. Let's put it together from that type of perspective. And so that's where we have to work. And they're all there, and they'll be corrected on there. But if you're a practitioner and you go to the training portal, we talk about a lot of this stuff. But a lot of times, so somebody asks, well, how come people, they ask the same question all the time? Well, they know the answer. They just want to be confirmed, or they want to make sure that what they're going to say is correct, or how they're going to approach this is something that a lot of people have done. And so they'll go to the page and they'll say, well, this is what I'm working with, what would you do? And bing, 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 they'll get the answers that they're looking for, and a lot of times they're the same kind of answers. We just want reinforcement. There's nothing wrong with that. If you need reinforcement, you want to know, please ask us. We'll give you that reinforcement. Go to the app, look at the various indications that are on there, and you'll see where the variances are. Now, it may not be perfect today because we found this little glitch, and we're getting it taken care of. But so that's a little bit about the protocols with MagnaWave and how they are applied and what can happen. If you have a specific question, please put it in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer it for you. If you want to approach a different area, whether it's machines or business, or what should you do to better build your business? What's a good way to communicate with people? We want to help you do that, whether you're an individual practitioner or a doctor or somebody just wanting to use it at home. And I've had people tell me this. They call me and, listen, I bought this machine for my use, and my brother's coming over and he's got this problem. What do I tell him? How do I introduce him to what we're doing, and what will it really do? I had a woman call me last night talking about rheumatoid arthritis and how it works, and fibromyalgia, and that's where she was talking about, was someone dealing with fibromyalgia and how the pain moves around the body, and are we going to chase the pain, or are they going to feel better? My answer was, listen, this person has had fibromyalgia and they're dealing with this for 2 or 3 years. You're not going to treat them one time and reverse everything. Could happen, but it typically doesn't. They've had this for a long time, and it moves around the body, and they need to start on it, be consistent, and go after it. And it was interesting that I was telling you earlier. I don't want to feel like I'm babbling here and just running on, but I was talking with this physical sports trainer, and I put it on for 10 minutes 2 or 3 times, and is that it? And I said, no. You may have an indication that this person needs to be on this machine for 20 minutes. Twice a day to get ahead of the situation. And then we got into the whole thing about, what about soft tissue and nerve? And I always say it's much easier to get inflammation out of soft tissue, out of the muscle, than it is out of the nerve. And so you got to work harder and longer on the nerve. And he said, when I use it on my knee, I get immediately it's better, and then in 30 minutes or an hour it comes back. And so what do I need to do? And the answer is, the more you treat, the longer it will last. The more you work on that cartilage where it has inflammation that's tough to get out, the more you do it, you're not fighting yourself. You see, because when you treat your knee like that, if you're an athlete and you go out and you work, it comes back. The issue can resurface. This is not analgesic to the point that it blocks it to where it's gone for 2 hours and 15 minutes so you can go play the match or play the game. But it will, the longer you do it, the more you do it, the longer the result will last. You'll get it into a position that it's healthier and healthier and healthier, that it takes longer for it to resurface, but depending on the stresses that you're putting on your body or your animal's body, or what's happening. Aaron's there, and so let's see, any other questions? And Aaron's talking about the private group. If you're a practitioner, you can go to the private group and get your questions answered. And then we also have talking about searching for things. On this page, the MagnaWave page, we post information all the time, but it's not searchable. So if you don't catch it, that's one of the challenges that we have. If you don't catch it when we post it, then you've missed it. We're putting all of this same information on the MagnaWave International Research and Education group. So if you go and you search for that, MagnaWave International PEMF Research and Education, you can go there and put in an indication that you're dealing with, and anything that we've done, anything that's posted in that group will come to the surface, so you can learn from that. You can see what people have done, and so we want to help you with that, give you that kind of information. We're not on that group to necessarily sell you anything. We're not on that group, and we don't want you selling anything on that group, but we're there to give information about this therapy and how it can be beneficial to the body. So you can go there, MagnaWave International PEMF Resources and Education, search on the left-hand side of the page there. You can search for the search box. You can put in tendons, and information on tendons will come up. Now, we're working every day. We've got several 10, 12 years of information that we've been developing. I've got almost 18 years information I've been developing over the time that we've got to repost into that area. So if you got a question, go to that area and ask a question, and then we'll go back and get that information if it's not there yet and put it there so you can have your questions answered, and so you can learn. So have questions. Hey, Jason, I hope you're feeling better. How's your recovery coming? Thanks for joining us this morning. Jason had knee replacement, and I know it's a challenge. We got a practitioner, physical therapist that works with geriatric physical therapy, had a hip replacement last week, and he's using MagnaWave on his recovery, and he wants to and needs to get back to work as rapidly as possible. And so it's amazing. The person had a hip replacement in the morning and went home that afternoon. Pardon me? I didn't understand that. But they did it differently. They have a way now of going in from the front, and instead of cutting the muscle, they separate the muscle. So they'll separate the muscle, go in, cut and remove the hip, put the new hip in, put the muscle back. So basically, the outside of the stress of what went on and the bone movement and all that kind of stuff, the physical damage to the tissue, the muscles and everything around this was at a minimum, and so they could put it in, sew him back up, and send him home. Now he's got to get rid of the inflammation and the pain and the swelling and that whole 9 yards for him to get better. But wow, just that they can do that today is just absolutely amazing to me. And so, you could say, well, just go home and sit on it and rest for a month or 3 weeks, and you'll be good to go. Well, why not, again, use a device, our MagnaWave stimulation, to help that inflammation go away and get you back on your feet more rapidly. Let's see here. Jason's got a question. Let me pull it up. What's the phone number to call in? Too long to type. Okay, let me give you that number, Jason, if you'd like to call in. Let's give this a shot here. Pull it up. The number is 502-599-9722. 502-599-9722. Look forward to hearing your testimonial, and I hope it all's going to be set up and working properly this morning. Whoa, don't want to knock that over. But that's the deal. Give me a call, and we'll put it on speaker and get your testimonial shared. 502-599-9722. Jason is the number to call. If anybody else has a question or a testimonial that they'd like to share, or ask me about how we can help you in your business, or help you in your use of these types of this device or whatever, give me a call. 502-599-9722. This is a throwback. Back in the mid-90s, I did a radio talk show in my hometown in the mornings from 6 until 9 in the morning before I started my day. I loved it. I liked being, we talked, God forbid, the things today, but we talked politics. We talked what the city needed to do. We talked about a lot of different stuff. We talked about health and wellness. We talked about everything. It was just, I really enjoyed it. It was just a lot of fun to do that, and a lot of work. I mean, I'd have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to prepare and put things together. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we've got the call here. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Pat. Hope y'all are doing good.
I think everybody's doing fine. Give me a thumbs up, folks, if you can hear Jason, and or send Jason some love here with some hearts. And Jason, so tell me what's going on, buddy.
Well, okay, I got discharged about 4 days after my surgery. Of course, I was up and walking around the night of my surgery. They, like that hip replacement you discussed, they do the same thing with the knees. They just pull everything over to the side, expose the bone, and then replace what they got to replace, and then let everything go. But one thing it's funny you should be talking about the protocols today, because I was just, when I first was able to start using my MagnaWave on my leg, I was just only doing 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Right.
And the swelling wasn't getting any better, but it wasn't getting any worse. And I mean, I'm not talking just in the knee. I mean the whole leg from the hip all the way to the ankle.
That's the same thing this guy was sharing with me, but go on.
Yeah. So what happened is that when I finally had my first follow-up, make a short story, when I finally first had my first follow-up with my surgeon, which was 1 week after my surgery, the surgeon was like, oh my God, your swelling hasn't gone down. you've got a blood clot. We're going to have to readmit you. We're going to have to put drain tubes in the bottom of your legs. I'm freaking out. I can't take any more time off work, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, they go do a ultrasound and radiographs and find out that I don't have a blood clot. It's just my lymph nodes are not allowing the fluid to come off of the leg. They're still in shock and they're bruised and all that from the surgery. So I took them. My Max machine is down right now. It's off for repairs, and so I'm borrowing a buddy of mine's semi. So I started doing that semi 30 minutes a day, 3 intervals of 10 minutes a day. And I was working it up and down from my hip all the way to my ankle now instead of just on my knee. And lo and behold, now I've got, the swelling's almost completely gone. I'm on day, I think, 9 of using the MagnaWave. I'd have to go back and look. Day 9 or day 10, I don't remember right off the top of my head. But anyway, and we've been doing I've been doing 30 to 45 minutes depending on how much movement I do during the day and my physical therapy and all. But I've been doing 30 to 45 minutes a day with the semi, and the swelling is almost completely gone. So your protocol's never going to actually match.
Exactly.
So that was kind of what I was wanting to reiterate with what you were saying. I just thought it was kind of ironic that you were talking about that today when I popped in, and lo and behold, there's,
Well, and I appreciate you for sharing that, and because the semi, while you may not feel it as much as you feel the Max, it can certainly, when it comes down to penetrating your body and helping your lymph nodes and getting that stuff moving, it can certainly do that for you.
Yeah. And it did. I was like, boy, I'm going from the largest machine to the smallest machine, so here we go,
There you go. And frankly, that was my situation when we came out with the semi. I'm thinking, there's no way. I've been doing the Max for 12 years, and this just isn't going to do it. But the more I used it, and when I had my prostate issue a couple of years ago, I used it exclusively, and the doctor was amazed at how things went, and the inflammation was down. They did a biopsy, and what was there was benign and dead, and they were all very happy with what we were accomplishing, and it's amazing how that works. So when will you be back at work? What's going on?
Well, right now I've got my second follow-up with my surgeon. I'm not allowed to do anything else until my second follow-up with surgeon, and that's tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And I'll find out when I can start back to work. I've been doing my physical therapy. The VA has allowed me to outsource my physical therapy to a local hospital here in town. So I'm going to start. I started that today, and so I'm hoping I'll be back doing at least light trims and good horses here in the next couple of weeks.
That's great. Let me ask you a question. When you do your treatment on your knee, are you doing any dynamic? Are you doing any movement while you're treating? Are you exercising your knee at the time that you're treating?
I actually started that last week when you talked about that, because I had thought about that, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if that would happen. And then you start talking about that, and I was just like, okay, that backed up what I was thinking. Let's go ahead and start doing this. So as I was doing my knee, I started flexing it.
There you go.
Flexing it back and forth, and then like when I'm doing the calf muscle, because what happened was when that swelling started setting in, like most people know that have some kind of a medical background, when that swelling sets in, it'll form cysts.
Okay.
And that cyst, one of the cysts that formed was in the back of my leg at the top of my calf, so it was real hard to do any kind of flexation without it just dead-gum near making me scream like a little girl. So I started massaging that, and then I'd MagnaWave it, and then I'd massage it, and then I'd MagnaWave it. Well, the cyst is now gone, and I'm actually able to do almost right at, I think we measured it last night, at 98 degrees on my leg. And I think they're wanting around 104 to 110 for them to actually release me to go back to work.
Wow. So, you're coming right along.
I'm hopeful, yeah. I mean, well, I'll tell you what I love is, you know how I am with MagnaWave. I love this thing because when I had my last knee surgery in 2003 on the same knee, I was down for 3 weeks, and it was almost 9 weeks before I was back up and working. And here we're looking at half the time I'm going to be back up, and I'm actually going to start riding in the truck with some of my fellow farriers that are covered from my clients this week. But as far as doing actual work or anything, it'll be a couple more weeks.
Right.
But it's still half the time. It's still
right. Incredible.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad it's coming along at a pace that you want it to, and I really appreciate you sharing that. One more thing. You were talking. We had a picture. Someone was treating a quarter crack, I think it was, the other day,
yes.
and they didn't see the result that they were looking for, and you came in with an explanation as to what they were really experiencing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that so people can better understand?
What happens is when that, okay, like for instance, this particular quarter crack went all the way up to the coronary band.
Right.
Okay. Well, the coronary band is where the hoof wall starts to grow out of. It's like us damaging our cuticle on our fingernail. So what happens is when that damage is up there, okay, you have to literally take your Dremel, take your hoof knife, or a farrier, trained farrier, take your Dremel, take your hoof knife, and take all that necrotic tissue, all that dead tissue, all the way down to healthy tissue. If you hit blood, don't freak out, okay, because that's what you want. You want that blood flow. You want all that dead tissue out of there so that thing can start healing like it's supposed to. Because so when it's not healing like it's supposed to, basically all that foot's doing is like, okay, we got to grow. So it's growing, and it's not necessarily growing back like it should.
Okay.
So you got to open that whole quarter crack all the way up. Yes, you'll expose sensitive tissue, and I explained to that lady that you might have to put a pressure bandage on it with some betadine and gauze, and just wrap it real tight around the hoof capsule, not around the foot, but around the hoof capsule, and push pressure bandage on it for a few days until that cornifies over. But once all that it starts growing back out, then that hoof wall is going to grow back out like it's supposed to, and hopefully it'll grow back out like it's supposed to, 90% chance of it. And then it'll start mending as it's growing down.
Right.
There's nothing you can really do with there's nothing you can do with the hoof wall that's down there that's split.
Right.
Other than just open it up, and people and a lot of people they want to fill it back in with some Equilox or some kind of a hoof builder or something like that. I don't normally suggest that, because if moisture that causes a moisture barrier, and if moisture gets in behind that, it can cause you more problems.
Okay.
So I always try to leave that open, but
so So the deal was it was all the way up the hoof. That's what really exacerbated the situation.
Yeah. Once it hits that coronary band, once it hits that corium band, where the hoof wall is actually growing out of the skin, that's where her problem was. That's where the major problem with this whole quarter crack is. Quarter cracks, yeah, they're nasty and they can hurt. It's like having a hangnail. Every time you put pressure on it, it's going to open up and spread, and it's a pain in the butt. Pain in the foot. But once it reaches that coronary band, then you're dealing with something just as on the lines of damaging your cuticle on your fingernail.
Okay.
If you don't get the pressure there to allow that thing to grow back together, then all is lost.
Oh, I understand. Well, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate you coming in, and that's one of the great things about that group is there's people that, like yourself and others that have such professional years of experience that can help us out in those kind of situations. So get well, be better, get back to work, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Pat. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye. So great testimonial from Jason, Bill, and we certainly appreciate that. And if you have any other questions, any other things you'd like to discuss, certainly the number's on there. You can give me a call, and I'd love to visit with you at this point, or ask your question. We'd be happy to answer it. And Jason is excellent. I mean, he comes in there when people start asking questions in that MagnaWave certified practitioner page that we have. That's a place where practitioners can go and learn about this therapy and how it can aid to what they're doing. He's there. Other people are there to really answer those questions and help out. And again, we can put this out. People have asked me before, why are you putting this information out there for people to look at? Because I want people to know that our goal is to help them be healthy and healthier and help their animals be healthier. And that's what it's all about. I want people to go to our page and find a practitioner to get a treatment. But my feeling is, if we help you and give you information that you're looking for, you're going to want to be in our group, in our family. I mean, I hope that, and that's basically what I mean. We are in business. We do want to be successful in our business, but our business of being successful is helping you get the treatments that you want and the health and wellness that you want for yourself, whether it's personal, for your clients, whatever it may be. So that's why I share this stuff. That's why I try to be totally transparent in what we do, as certainly as much as possible. So, and I allow this. Let me put this. If you want to call 502-599-9722, be sure to mute your speakers. Let's add this to the screen here. Come up. Your protocol's never going to exactly match, and that's true. Jason, thanks for doing that. We'll credit you with that, but that's really the answer. There may be a way to approach it, but the protocol's never going to exactly match from animal to animal. I've told this story before, but I learned that the hard way on the racetrack when I was going out and just starting, and I'm treating horses, trying to make them feel better, and of course they'd get on the horse and it'd be better. But one day the phone rings, "Hey, my horse is racing this afternoon at 2:30, come out and treat it at noon." And I did, and the horse relaxed and didn't care if it went to the racetrack or not. And the guy said, "Well, what are we going to do?" And I said, "Well, here's what we're going to do from now on. If we want to treat a horse, we're going to treat it before it breezes, and so we can see how it responds. If it responds very favorably, in other words, by making it comfortable and less pain, you haven't taken the edge off to where it doesn't want to compete. Another horse, and we'll find that out. So we'll know we need to treat that horse the day before. So when it's time for the race, he is at his prime, and we've learned that and we've applied that. There are times to best treat this animal and best times to treat that animal, or this athlete or that athlete when you're talking about a person. Let's see. So another question here. Here we go. Let's see. What are the parameters for working around the heart, equine or human? Well, great question, David. If you're treating your back, if you're treating the upper back of a person, that signal is penetrating the whole body, and it is penetrating and going through the heart. And there's nothing happening here that is going to impede the electrical stability of the heart or how the heart works, the fact that you're pulsing. You're in a magnetic field all the time in your life, and you're around various things that are creating signals that are going through your body. But the potential of the pulsing, it's been something that has never really been an issue with the heart. And for example, my lovely wife has had some issues. She's had a stent put in her heart. She's had an ascending aortic aneurysm. She had a hole in her heart, had to have a wire mesh heart repair, and all of her doctors were aware of what she was doing and how she's continued to treat herself for her herniated discs, which are in her upper back, just at the heart, which we've been treating now for 12 years, and it's had no detriment to what's going on there. In fact, there's a situation that where the ascending aortic aneurysm was, that they checked every 6 months for years, is gone. And people say, well, that's impossible, but it's gone. And so people, to defend themselves, say, oh, well, it's been a misdiagnosis for the last 12 years. Pardon me? When you can look at it on the x-rays or in the MRIs and see what's there. We don't know what happened, but we know that it's gone, and she's been treating herself regularly for all these years. That's not a claim. I don't know. But it's just, the things happen when the body gets to do this. But at any rate, we've not experienced, certainly if you have a heart condition, if someone has a heart issue, they need to check with their physician about what they have going on. Could this have an effect, or how would the doctor look at this as far as an effect is concerned? When they put the stent, when my wife had an issue and she had to have it, she had some blockage, and she had to have and that now brings me to another comment that people have made about some competitors have said things, not about us, but just made claims or said things that are bizarre. But at any rate, they wanted to make sure that her wire mesh repair was in good shape, and she's had an ablation. I forgot about that. She had two anyway, I'll explain that too at some point. But so they want, and they said the wire mesh is, I mean, it's so well grown over, and so you can't even really tell it's there if you didn't know. And so her treatments, maybe it's enhanced that part of the healing of her heart. But if you have any other questions, please put them up there and let us know. So if you have questions, again, talk to your doc. But there really been no issues around having the devices around the heart. Certainly if you have a pacemaker or a defibrillator, there are requirements. You can't use it over that. And however, with some of the newer pacemakers that they're putting in today, doctors have said you can use it if you're doing if the heart's where the pacemaker is, up here in the chest area, and you want to treat someone's hips, fine. It's not because of the way the machines are powered, the devices are powered now, and of course that's a question for your doctor. This is what I have done, and the doctor will either give approval or not. So, David, I hope that answers your question. Let's see, we have another one here coming up. Are you putting together a video of the testimonials the practitioners gave at MagnaCon? Yes. We're going to, as much as we got recorded, and if the recordings are good, that's a challenge, and we're really going to work that challenge out next year. How we record, what we record, and how we can package it. And so we recorded everything, and so we have all of that. It's just a matter, we had some audio issues a couple of times. People don't notice it, but we noticed it, and we're over there listening. Bob's over there listening on the headphones, can tell where there's some static or whatever. But the short answer to your question is we're going to do everything we can do to get those testimonials in a video so they can be shared. And if they're not good enough for a video, we're going to transcribe them and put them in print so people can see them and understand them and read them. So they can be more beneficial. It's all about, everything today. Why are we here? I mean, people have asked that. There's low power units and there's high power units, and we're here basically having this conversation because when I started, I put this on a horse and they had immediate results. Or I'd put it on someone's back and they had immediate results. Speed is what everybody wants. You can call it immediate gratification or instant gratification, sure, but it's all about speed. It's all about getting something to where it needs to be. And so the action is the key. You as a practitioner in today's world with the internet and how you can communicate with people and how many times a day you can communicate with people is the deal. You have to take action on what you're doing. Whenever I talk to somebody about this coming in and using this, it's not like falling off a log. It's not going to happen that easy because people don't understand it. They have to be explained and the whole 9 yards. But you have to take the action. And we can help you with that action. We can help you with post. We can help you. We can even do it for you if you want that to happen. And if you're successful and you want to spend your time being a technician and an entrepreneur, then you need help doing that. I mean, I learned that when I stepped out and said, look, I have to have somebody help me do this. And we did that. It made all the difference in the world. People ask me for 4 years, when are you going to put a training program together? And I struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled with the training program until one day a guy looked at me and said, look, here's an outline. Use my words, not about this other business, but just here's what we're trying to tell people. Just put your stuff in there. Add your stuff where it needs to be added. And I was able to do that pretty quickly, and we got started. And people loved it. People wanted to be educated. And they want to be on the same page. We want to use the same terminology so you can better explain it. So action is the key. You take the action. If you have a question on what action to take, I'm here to help you any way I can. And I'll tell you what I've done. I'll tell you what I would suggest that you do. And whether that, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. And most of the time it does. And so we want to help you do those kinds of things. So any other questions? I'm getting close here on time. I have another meeting I'm going to need to go to here in a few minutes, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And we're certainly here. Call the office if you'd like to talk to Erin in training. She's happy to visit with you or talk to somebody else. And we got in this office. Everybody has experience with this device, whether it's on humans or small animals or people. So there's probably well over a couple hundred years of experience right here in this office today. People have said that, oh no, they don't. That's that's just not the case. And I'm not blowing smoke. I'm just telling you, I've been doing it since 2002, and I've learned a lot, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned where it's good, and I've learned where it's not necessarily the best thing to do in some cases, or whatever. You just need to understand how quick it's going to work and what it can do. So don't want to ramble. If you have a question, put it up there, and I'd be happy to address it. If you'd like to send me an email, please do. Pat Zemer at MagnaWave, PEMF, and with a question, go to our chat on the website. Go to the chat box, chat with whoever's on the chat at that particular time, give them a question, and we'll certainly approach it over here and when we have the office hours or as necessary to bring you the information that you're looking for. So I haven't seen anything. Let me make sure here nothing else has popped up at this point. Great questions today. Jason, again, thank you for sharing your testimonial. And I know you're all busy. You got a lot of stuff going on that you need to take care of, and so you probably want to get back to your business at hand today, or feeling better and helping others feel better and with their health and wellness. So actually, thank you for being with me. Look forward to visiting with you again, and wave on and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.